The way things are from a couple of years on, things are real horrible here in New York, all over.
You're dealing with a lot of people that are maniacs today.
You're dealing with an individual who's very basic, who only knows two things, rip off or be ripped off.
Many of those who make good by being bad are nowhere to be seen these days.
I'd be afraid. Of course I'd be afraid. He's a sick guy. He'd kill anytime.
There isn't anything on earth that I will hide from or back up from.
People seem not to understand the close relationship between organized crime and street crime. And certainly in dealing with street crime in his area or any other kind of crime, the uniformed patrolman.
So all the lawyers that worked so hard in this case were on trial for 9 months. We're 3 weeks from an acquittal, all 10 defendants, and the government abandoned the case.
How many times he's done that? We're so mad, that fed up, that I would attack him.
Hello, everybody. What is going on? Welcome back to NYC Crime Spot. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. I haven't done a live stream in a little bit, man. It's been over a month, I think, or maybe longer. Today, we're going to do like an hour or so. Pete is going to be hopping on in just a minute. Just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Derek, Sean, Oscar Madison, OG Ruby. What is going on? Foley Santa Maria. Everybody else that is coming in. Jesco, Carmine S. Okie dokie. Derek, what is going on? Derek out in the West Coast. All right, everybody. So I'm going to bring Pete in a second. I just want to let everybody know the past month I put out about 3 videos. They're doing pretty good. I have another one coming out tomorrow. And, of course, we got this live stream tonight with Pete the Pick LaFROSCIA. Frank Ferraro, what's going on? B-Man 617. Farmer, what's going on? What is going on? Let me bring Pete on in so we can say hello to everybody. Peter LaFROSCIA, what's going on?
Everything's good for me. I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm going to ask the audience two questions. One, my dear cousin passed away yesterday at the age of 50-something, some hip surgery. So if you got a prayer, please give a prayer to my cousin Mark. And 2,
definitely, Pete.
I want everybody here to understand that whatever this is about, all it's about to me, hopefully to save one kid, whether it's a man or a woman, from doing this lifestyle. I hope you're out there listening and you get to hear the real gist of what's going on and how it's not worth it. Thank you, everybody. I'm ready to go. Brett. I don't hear you.
I'm sorry to hear that, Pete. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. My condolences, and everyone else in the chat as well, sending their condolences.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
So, Pete, I want you to start off with something that I find kind of interesting. Of course, many people know you for your associations with the Roy DeMeo crew, as we've been discussing all the times you've been on this channel. Your reputation as a car thief. For the Roy DeMeo crew, of course, there's lists out there, Pete, which have you on them, which say that you've done a bunch of other things, things that have never been proven in court. But I want to stick to the car stuff right now, and I want the chat and everyone listening and everyone that's going to listen to this after. I want you to kind of put them inside the mind of a car thief. So I want to paint a picture for you, Pete. Okay. It's the summer of 1978. Roy DeMeo has the Empire Boulevard operation kicking off, one of the most intricate, lucrative car operations in New York's history. You're one of the main players in this operation. How many days a week are you going out to do this job, Pete, to collect these cars?
Well, being as I consider it a regular job, about 5 days a week.
5 days a week. And how much are you getting per car?
Well, it it was a lot different. You usually get about anywhere between 300 and 500 a car. Much easier.
3 to 500.
There wasn't a 3 to 500 yet, and it wasn't like the old days where it was about 150 car, and you had to bring the color, the model. You had to really, really concentrate on what you were doing. You know, back then I probably like 8, 9 cars at a time at night, and when the new thing came in, 17. When you didn't have to.
Oh, okay. So
certain make, certain mile, you know, kind of.
So 300 to 500 a car. Let's split the difference. Let's say 400 a car. And how many cars a night would you say? 5 days a week.
With the new place, 4 or 5.
When you say the new place, is that the warehouse on Empire Boulevard?
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
It's very simple as can be. You know, they didn't say, we want this color. All they wanted was big GM cars. So.
Okay. Big General Motors cars. And how many a night would you say on average, Pete?
4. 4 is good enough for me.
4 is good enough for you 5 days. So 20 cars a week you're stealing, let's say at $400 a pop. We'll times that by 20. So in the late 70s, just from cars, you're pulling in an average of, let's say, $8,000 to $10,000 a week you're getting paid for stealing these cars, Pete. Does that sound about correct to you?
Somewhere around there, correct. Yes, not exactly, but yeah, around that.
That's a lot of money back then.
It's a lot of money today, too.
Well, it's a lot of money today, but back then, if you're making over 30 grand a month, I mean, you had to have been rolling pretty good.
Had no complaints. Had my family had what they needed. I had what I wanted. I had some toys at that time, you know, that I was able to buy legitimately. And the main thing, I was able to take care of my family, you know, really.
Right. So that's a lot of money. And then, of course, it has to be profitable for Roy. So do you recall what Roy was getting for these cars per car shipped overseas to like Kuwait or wherever it was? What was that guy Muhammad giving him for the cars?
I'm not sure what he was getting, but it was a lump sum. And then we all gave something back to him, you know what I mean? You know, providing what it was. But he got a lump sum. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he got a letter of credit for $1 million first time around. We had
$1 million.
Yeah, I believe. Now, don't hold me to it. That's what the rumor was, you know. So
Right. Well, you got to figure where these cars are going. They're going into the Middle East. There's a lot of guys there that are oil rich. They got a lot of fucking money.
Right.
And they don't care where the thing's coming from, essentially. I mean, they're the ones with the power over there, all these people.
Correct.
So, yeah, they're probably willing to pay top dollar. And that's something also that I think is often forgotten when we speak about Roy, Pete. I mean, he was a multimillionaire. Would you attest to that?
Well, I just think about what he left his children and stuff, and I'd have to say right there is the answer, you know?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So with the Empire Boulevard operation, the warehouse that you guys had, I think it was 445 Empire Boulevard or something like that was the address. But it was literally right next door to the police precinct.
72nd precinct, I believe, was right there.
Yeah, right next door to the precinct.
You gotta remember that was a Buick dealership that was abandoned, you know, that one of them rented it. So it looked like it was still a Buick dealership.
Yeah. So it looked like it was still a dealership, but you guys, Roy just had it for you guys to just pull in cars all night. So if you stole a car at night, Pete, take us through this. I really want you leave your house. Who are you with? Who are you usually with?
Probably, believe it or not, either my girlfriend.
A girlfriend?
Yeah. She was just around, yeah.
Interesting.
Did
that help you?
She loved to drive. Yeah, it looked more, respectable. Guy and girl pulling up the car, boom, 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 drops him off, drives away. Next thing he's driving away behind her. Yeah.
Okay. And as far as male characters, criminals, I guess we could say, who would you normally be with?
I really stopped being with guys after that Willie Camp deal, that CI, you know. He used to be my guy.
Okay.
And after him, you know what? I didn't trust nobody as a shotgun man. You know what I mean? You gotta remember, the guys I was with did their own thing. You know what I mean? They didn't want to be drivers. They were doing their own.
A lot of freelancers.
Right.
Right. And at that time, let's say the year I mentioned, 78, Roy had brought in Vito Arena and Richie DeNomi as car thieves, and you didn't want to go out and steal cars with them. Is that correct?
Would you?
I mean, knowing what I know historically, no, I wouldn't.
Well,
I mean, but you were there, so
if you would known them in the street, you wouldn't do it either. You know what I mean? They shot their own friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Poor Joe Scorn, he thought he was their friend. What'd they do? Robbed the guy and they shot him.
Right.
Selfish people, very selfish. Anyhow. And look what
All
they
right.
tried today.
You leave your house, Pete. You're driving around Brooklyn. You see a Chevy Caprice, fabric interior.
Yeah,
Type of car. No leather, nothing like that. We know you're not sipping any cow skin to the Middle East, right? Or overseas anywhere. You see that car, you say, okay, that's the one. Take us through it, Pete. I really want to know. This is like an insight that nobody could ever obtain right now.
I'll pull up, look at it quickly, right? Drive down the block, walk back with very little amount of tools in my hand. I didn't need a lot. And it started and gone. First thing I looked for to make sure there was no baby sheets in there. That's the first thing I would do. I wouldn't take a car, God forbid, it had a baby sheet in it. You know what I mean? It's just whatever you call it, you know, superstition or what. But if they ever needed that car in the middle of the night for that baby and something happened, what would I feel like shit? And just do what I had to do, pull out behind it, straight to the place, park it real close to it, okay? Because if it's late at night, you know, we weren't going in and out. So as soon as the morning came, around 7:30, 8 o'clock, be back in there. Whatever cars I lined up, I pull them in.
Really? Wait. So all the cars you lined up. So you're saying, let's say you stole 7 cars that night. Let's say, for example, you would park those cars around the neighborhood,
right,
and then pick them up all at once. And then by the time the morning came, you would get one car after another, funnel them into Roy's warehouse.
Well, if there's other people in it, I'd let them help me drive me, you know. And if I couldn't make it there, we had this thing with, we put the visor down on the passenger side. So,
okay. Yeah.
So they would know, you know, basically.
Right. So you would put a visor down. They would say, okay, that's one of Pete's cars.
Hopefully nobody else put a visor down. Yeah.
It's almost like a tow truck driver, Pete. Like I watch some of the tow truck drivers in the neighborhood. They'll tow somebody's car, park it in one of their little private spots on some block somewhere, and be like, "Hey, I got the car. You don't know where it is. You got to pay me to find it." You know, they do these fucking games. It's almost like that in a sense, right? Where you're just decorating the streets with these stolen cars until the morning, right?
Right. The funniest thing I ever seen with the cars was when I believe that motor vehicle cops, like, you know, they walk down, they come to a neighborhood, they secure a big park, like a park where we play in baseball field, and they walk up and down the block with these new computers right at that time, and they punch it in. And if you had anything, it was going into that lot. I mean, unbelievable. It would, tickets, this, that, whatever it be. It was like, go down the block, the next day there's like 50 cars in a thing, and they couldn't get them out. They were getting charged $85 an hour. I said, what the frick am I doing wrong? I could beat all of these guys. But anyhow.
So after a week, let's say Sunday to Friday, after however many days you did to steal those cars that day, right?
Right.
You guys, from what you tell me from speaking to you, you guys would have like these little shape up meetings, or whatever you want to call them, at the Gemini Lounge on Fridays, right? You guys would meet and have dinner.
Right.
Would there ever be any conversations like, "Hey, Petey did good this week, 20 cars," or did you have to tell Roy, "Hey, listen, you know, I dropped off 20 this week," or what was that conversation like as far as taking a tally on things?
Well, I'm pretty sure he already had a tally, because I'm pretty sure there was somebody that kept the tally for him, you know, so we knew what was going on, basically, you know.
Okay.
Unless the tally was wrong, he said something, you know, is this correct? And that was it. He'd ask Richie, is that correct? Is Freddie, is that correct? Vito, correct? Me, correct? And that was the end of that, you know. If everything correct, that was good. You got paid. You know,
Was there a competition between you guys, like a friendly competition, or you didn't give a shit what anyone was doing?
I didn't give a shit what anyone was doing. Took care of what I had to take care of. That was it, you know. I wasn't there to impress nobody. I just wanted to do my thing and go home.
At these meetings at the Gemini, now I know that I always go back to this character because he's so fucking fascinating to me, Pete. Did you ever sit? I mean, I know during the trial, Vito said, you know, Pete never kissed me hello. He never said hi to me. He was never nice to me. But did you ever have to sit around the table with him? Like Roy tells you got to come. You're not going to say no. Did you ever have to sit and share a meal with this guy, with everyone?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no anyhow because I was here long before he came. You know what I mean? If anything.
Right.
But, you know, like I said, I definitely would not kiss him on the cheek, say hello. I had no talk for this guy. When I came home, I was so, how can I say, so tense about who was around me, very conscious of it, right? And I seen that guy and I seen the other two. I says, shit, there goes the Magnificent Seven. And sure as shit, you know.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, it's surprising that Roy would even recruit some people like, you know, it is, I guess it's a downfall of his, one of his downfalls.
Definitely. He had a tight crew. You know, you hurt one of us, you got to hurt us all. And nobody in our crew ever would even think about talking, snitching, or anything like that. You know, these guys, they were completely different than us. You know what I mean? Very flamboyant. And as you know, the record shows what they really turned out to be. You know, I just, you know, it's just kind of, I know. And when I heard the story about how he made his bones, I really was sick. You know, that's not how it's done, man. I don't care, man. That's very disrespectful. And so, in other words, you go out with this guy, you got to worry about him. He already shot his friend.
Yeah.
And he didn't shoot him because the guy was a bad guy. He shot him because he wanted his car and his money. You know, if you shot him because you found out he was a rat or it, no problem. But for them other reasons, never in my life, material reasons.
Yeah. For monetary gain.
Right.
Right. Lester Andrews, $4.99. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
So
if you guys got any questions, send them on in. Start typing them in. We'll get some questions over to Pete right now. Let's see if some of them coming in. Now, aside from like the Empire Boulevard operation, let's say outside of that, I found some old articles. You were doing some other business around that time as well. You were getting in trouble with some other warehouses or auto garages they were busting where your name kept coming up as being involved in this ring over there too. So you kind of had a couple of things going on, no? Or were you cheating on Roy a little bit? What was going on?
No, as long as we fulfilled what we had to do with Roy, anything we made on the side was us. You know what I mean? As long as you know, we worked his work. He didn't care what we did on the side. He was very, very good-hearted like that. I mean, if that made $1 million score, he'd say, hey, you know what I mean? You got to wet my dick a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Remember something. It's like working for any company. You know what I mean? He was your insurance policy. He was your everything that you needed. God forbid something should go down. You know what I mean? He was there. It's his forte. You know, you need a lawyer, you needed this. That was what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, he would help you guys with everything, right?
Yes, you did.
Interesting. This is a question from Oscar Madison, Pete. Would Roy and his crew want electric vehicles, or would they have given him a pass?
That's a good question. I don't see why he wouldn't, because, you know what I mean? That's the thing of today. So, you know, Roy tried to keep up with the times in a lot of ways, you know? So,
yeah. I mean, even when he died, he had a brand new Cadillac. So there you go, right?
Yeah, but he had to get one at that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He had enough money. Yeah.
But you got to think about it. Even if them cars, even if you do, how can I say, even if you tag them, just the parts on electric cars are worth a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I mean, the battery is worth thousands of dollars.
That's what I'm saying, all those motors and wheels, forget it.
So Carmine S. wants to know, Pete, what were the hot cars that were in demand at that time that brought the biggest money?
Believe it or not, it was a Cadillac. What was it called? Can't believe it. Can't believe, but that was one of the hot cars. But with overseas cars, it didn't matter, you know. So Chevy, anything that was a big family car, they wanted. You know? But Cadillac, what the fuck are they called?
It was a Cadillac.
Huh?
It was the type of Cadillac that was a hot car?
Yeah, 78 to 81. Yeah, they were hot cars. It was a hot number.
Okay.
Seville. Cadillac Seville.
Oh, it's Seville. Okay.
Oh, yeah. They were hot kicks back then.
Really? Hello, Bob Ward. How are you? Hope everything is good. Now, with the stolen car, Pete, if you steal a car in Brooklyn, are you going to sell it to somebody else in Brooklyn? I mean, how does that work?
No. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Why would you? This is the only way you did that. If you stole a car for a guy in Brooklyn, you let him have it for a couple of days, then you steal it back and get rid of it. You collect his insurance on whatever he did. But you didn't want that. And that's how basically Chris fucked up with Andre, you know? Them Brooklyn cars.
Yeah. But at one point in time, and I mean, I know you look at this guy as a friend, but he has long passed away. Patty Testa.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything at his dealership was illegal. I'm sure. I mean, I'd be willing to bet, Pete, most of it might have been legitimate. Like he had a legitimate car dealership. But, you know, there is this idea that at times there were cars being sold out of Testa's lot that might have went missing from the person's driveway a few days later and maybe shipped off somewhere or whatever it may be. I mean, can you attest to that if you want?
Well, that was a smart way of doing it. You know, I mean, if you sold somebody a hot car in the neighborhood, steal it back, let him collect the insurance money so there's no beef. Now, Patty, Mr. Patty, a lot of cars he bought, he bought them that needed a lot of parts. So he made his money in selling a legitimate car, but buying cars for parts, you know. Big money in the parts. Look at the little chop shops. That's what they're all about. Big money. You know what I mean? So
right.
He'd buy one and take the parts over, put it on the good one, which at that time they didn't have all this ultraviolet and all this crazy shit that they got out there now too. So, and he'd sell it legit. And that's a lot of, you know, and everything on a Porsche. And I tell you this from my heart. I don't care if it's down to the smallest grommet. There's junkyards that will buy all of those parts. Everyone. Right. There was a time when I used to pay a guy $2,500 to get a Porsche for me. I was too lazy to bring it to my basement, into my garage. Every night after dinner, I go down and work on about an hour and a half, right? By the time I was done, I took it out. I bought this one of those vans that, I forgot what they're, like delivery trucks. I put shit in there. The frame, when I was done with the frame, you could put it in a box, probably about 8 feet by 6 feet. That's all scrap. Everything else I used to bring out to North Carolina and sell to this guy. He'd buy everything. I didn't give a shit what it was. There was nothing that you couldn't sell on a Porsche.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because, you know, back to Patty Testa. I mean, he was known as a smart man, right? A good businessman.
Nice.
He had a good business. He was making legitimate money, like you say. He's another guy like with Vito Arena that kind of fascinates me as well, Pete. Do you think that by the late 80s and by the 80s, a guy like that was in way too deep to even distance himself from that type of lifestyle?
I remember something. His brother, yeah. It's a funny thing. His brother was one of the good guys, you know, whatever you want to call him, a friend of ours. And his other brother, Sal, was a cop. And worked at the police. So we used to hear a lot of shit because of us. But yeah, no, he was pretty much about it. I think Patty's biggest thing with that was all he did was ever borrow money to buy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's you know, when you got money, you go out and buy a couple cars at a time, and you know you got the money to float. You make a good money. You understand? You figure out what you got to pay back. And Patty knew this down to a science. You know, he knew he got to get, and that was it. You know, so he ordered parts, do what he had to do, whatever was going on to get him, and the guys that were fronting him the money would get their little piece. You know, everybody's happy. Everybody's making money. Patty never, you know, he never had to do nothing really stupid. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure in his day he grabbed a few cars himself.
Hello, Howie. So Howie wants to know, we kind of touched on it before, how you stole the cars. Was there, I guess I'll ask you more specifically, is there a certain type of tool that you would use? Was there a popular tool of the trade to do this back then? Obviously, they're not the cars of today, right?
I don't know. Basically, every 3 years, they would change. When cars were getting robbed, say specifically a Chevrolet or a Chrysler, Dodge, they would change the ignition somehow. They had one time they put a little diamond plate in there so you couldn't slap it out. But I had a guy that was in California, God bless him. He was a locksmith, and he used to go around, to people's houses and open the doors, start the cars, right? So he used to get a tool. He always got the tool that was able to get that ignition out. And every time a new one come out, he'd call me up. He'd say it's on its way, and I'd say yours is on your way. And that tool would work like a key, like a charm. He had to have it. He was legitimate. He had to have it. And that was it. I'd use it for about 6 months when nobody else had it. Couldn't figure out how I was doing those. And then I would have my friend that had a machine shop make them and I'd sell it to them. Sell them the same tool. But that's how it worked. Every 2 years they came out with different locks. This guy, he had to have it. They gave it to him. It was legit. He was a legitimate locksmith. He's in California.
So you had to connect in California.
Yeah, with a locksmith, especially in auto part. Other than that, back in the day, you'd go to Slapper. A lot of ways to open a car door. Besides a hanger, you take a vice grip. We put your key in to the door to open it with a lock, like when you open your car door. There's a ring around that, right? You get a vice grip, you'll put it on that ring and lock it in real good tight, and just lift it up, and the whole thing would turn and open the door.
Right. So one more thing I want to ask you about cars, and I'm going to go to let me just see the comments. I'm going to go to a photo that, one of the photos that I've showed before.
Okay.
And then we'll get away from cars, but let me just pull this up here. That's your buddy Willie Camp, right? Your former car thief friend.
Yeah.
Your former car thief friend who turned into a CI, and it led to you being charged with a double homicide, which you had twice been charged with in the state and federal, and you beat both charges. But I want to ask you something as far as this, right? And it has to do with cars. So this is Paul Castellano. This is you. This is Anthony Nino Gaggi. And over there in the back is a drawing of Anthony Center.
Correct.
So I assume that when you're sitting in a position like that, I assume that each one of you are getting different questions. Is that correct? In terms of different crimes, or is it focusing on cars and each one of you are being asked about cars? How does that work? Because Paul Castellano's not stealing cars. Nino's not stealing cars. What is that as far as being questioned about that in the presence of these individuals?
Right. You got to remember, some all these cases are built on different things. You know what I mean? So predicate acts, RICO, especially RICO. So if they would have a crime committed, right, and I was directly involved in it, the witness that was up there was directly pointing at me. Whatever he was saying was conduit to me. So it wasn't like he say, well, all these defendants were, this is a question, this is what he's testifying. He's testifying about Pete LaFroscia because he knows that he did this and this. And the jury would get that input and they would remember that, Now, if they said, he's talking about, let's say, who else, anybody, Mr. Angelo or something like that, they would question about what they thought he did, as far as his part in this act. And it wasn't like they directed it at everybody. At the end, prosecutor, of course, puts it all together in one lump there, this is an organization, so they're really all involved. So,
okay.
But as far as the questions being asked, whoever was up on that stand was being questioned about a certain individual in the defendant's box.
Right, right. So you sat in the presence of Paul Castellano a few times, even a month or less than a month before he was killed at Sparks. You were in trial. When you're sitting there with a guy like that and they're asking you these questions and they're talking about all these cars, what's the demeanor of a guy like that? Is he like there, like?
Well, I told you what his lawyer said. Jimmy LaRosa, one of the best lawyers in New York, right?
Right, he's a lawyer.
His opening statement said, "Listen, my client, Mr. Castellano, declared $11.something million in taxes last year.
Right.
Why would he have to run around with a bunch of guys like this?" And he smacked in my face, why don't you? You know what happened to him? He was greedy. He had his hands way down and wanted a piece of everything instead of just saying, well, these guys are doing this, you know what I mean? Go ahead, have fun, you know what I mean? Get something big, call me, I get my chunk of monkey. But he wouldn't let a piece go by.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, he files for $11 million in taxes back in. I mean, it's a lot of fucking money today, but in the 80s, it's a shit ton more. And you say he still has his hands in everyone's pockets. Interesting.
look what he did. Look, how do you get involved in indicted in that? Because Dominic brought the money directly to him because he didn't want nobody, not even Uncle Nino. The money went right from Dominic to Paul.
Right.
Case closed. Boom, you're indicted. That's it. How do you get around that? For a lousy couple of dollars.
Too many connections. Right.
That was
From Roy to Nino to Dom to Castellano. Yeah, too many.
A lot of times it wasn't even to Nino. It was straight from him to Paul. You know what I mean? And that's a no-no. You're supposed to have a buffer somewhere in between there. You know what I'm saying? But that's what caused him to be indicted on that.
Hey, look who's in the chat. Look at this guy. Roy DeMeo's here. He says cheers.
Hey, buddy.
These guys. There's so many fake Roy DeMeos on here, Pete. I can't keep track of them all.
God forbid they ain't copycats. It should be wiped out.
No, I don't think there's copycats. I don't think they make many of those anymore. I don't know about all that. What would you say to Roy, though, if he was here?
I told you to go when you came into those orange boxes full of money. No, you don't want to listen. You don't want to laugh. No. There's nothing you could say to him. Listen.
Yeah.
And what can I tell you, Roy? You knew that was going to happen when you didn't leave. You were told to go. You had it upfront warning. Somebody you really respected and you didn't do it. Your excuses was, what else should I do? Well, you can still be breathing, dummy.
Yeah.
I always said, you know, for what business we were in, you were a good leader. You know, you never made nobody go through the door first. If it was something like that, you stepped forward and did what you had to do. It wasn't like, go do this or go do that because I ain't doing it. There's nothing he wouldn't do that he made us do in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Whether it was stealing cars, whatever, robbing truck, you know, right down the line. Going there. It wasn't like he said, okay, you do it. I'm not going to do it. Stay out of my way because if it's going to be something serious, I'm going in first.
And that's kind of the way one of his mentors was as well, Nino, right? I mean, basically the same thing.
Old school, you know, hung around with Charlie, Luciani, all the guys, you know, old school.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
I mean, you know, it's a world that I can't fathom, you know, especially if you think about Nino. You know, they had the Eppolito situation, which I know you're aware of on the Belt Parkway. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's like, I don't know how old he was, in his 50s or something at that time. A guy running around Brooklyn doing these crazy things. I mean, I can't even,
way out of whack. That was way out of whack.
Way out of line. Yeah.
You're not supposed to get your hands smudged anywhere in that act. You know what I mean? But, you know, he was a man of pride, and he felt, you know, that they were really doing him wrong.
Fully committed. Yeah.
That's it.
So I got a question from JW. He says, how much money did Roy have when he died? He never heard a figure. I mean, how much could you estimate? I mean, I don't
know. You probably would never ever hear a figure, but probably need a couple of counting machines to figure it out. You know, listen,
a couple of different counting machines.
Just estimate. I'm sure everybody knows what the son and the daughter and the wife are left, because I'm not even sure about that. But one of them was public news, you know, about his son. And if you could leave that for your son, what do you really got?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to remember something. Roy's biggest thing, whatever anybody else thinks about him, his biggest thing was lending money.
Lending money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Loan sharking.
Wow. The money that was made there is phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. You had millions on the street back then, you think?
Shit, yeah, man. This is how it works. You know, say let's use me for instance, okay? I'd rather talk about myself than really anybody else. Right. I need X amount of dollars, right? All right. I'm putting it out at say 3 points, right? I go to Roy, tell him, he'd say, okay, you gotta give me half a point. So I'm making 2.5 points on my money. You know, of course I have to back it up. You know, it's like, you know, if God forbid I gotta pay it back, you know. But that's where I was at, you know. So you got just in us alone, 70 guys, you know, all had books. And he had a fat book. He had a lot of businessmen, a lot of big businessmen. I'm not talking about criminals, I'm talking about businessmen, legitimate businessmen. You know,
yeah, he was known from what they say to have a certain charm to him, right? He could charm a lot of different people into doing things.
Yeah. Yes, he did. He had the
From what I
nice
hear.
charm, and then he had the other charm. he had charms going both. He had two sides of the coin, you know. He had the heads and the tails both, either way. But he would be more likely to approach you like a legitimate man first time, whatever, you know what I mean? Like he did with me. Yeah, I mean, that's what he did with me. Came to me, he said, listen, we got an opportunity for you, blah, blah, blah. You know, Danny said his nephew got busted. As soon as I told him that you didn't like rats and shit like that, changed his charm into fucking kick the shit out of me trying.
Yeah.
But, you know, I gotta remember sometimes, a lot of times he didn't have to do nothing. Just the name was enough, you know. I mean, it's like a Doberman didn't have no teeth, you know, and they'd say, okay. Hey.
Yeah, well, JW, just to expand on what you're asking, JW, like Pete said, there's never going to be a real figure of it, but take into consideration what Pete said with the loan sharking, right? How massive his book is. On top of that, you can add the pornographic industry, which he was very heavily invested into with numerous individuals like Robert DiBernardo and other people in New Jersey. Then you could add the stolen car operation on top of that. Then you could add all of the cocaine dealing that was going on. So I mean, come up with a number that's pretty high. I mean, it's a pretty big fucking number. And you know, you don't have to comment on this, Pete, but when somebody's involved in so many things, Pete, when there's so many moving parts, when they have their hands in so many different schemes, paranoia has to be pretty fucking high, huh? Which could lead to a lot of things to happen.
Unnecessary things, correct. You know, we know this for a fact. We see what happened, what they said, you know, innocent people, collateral damage, you know, because of his paranoia at times, you know, and he wasn't the man to take any chances. So, you know, I mean, he thought that was the way it was going to be. That's what he did. You know what I mean? He handled it either way. He's just, it could lead to that without a doubt. Look, gotta remember something. We were all told not to get involved in certain things. And we did. You know, I'm not going to lie to nobody. We broke the rules a little bit, you know, and he kind of like knew basically what was going on. And so did way up to the top. Anybody says that they didn't know what the fuck we were doing is full of shit. As long as they had the green come in, just don't get caught and busted. You know what I mean? Look at John Gotti. That was his demise right there. Paul wanted to do that to Johnny because they got busted with that heroin, and he wanted to make an example of him so bad, you know. But he didn't stop him from taking any money, did it? Nah. What did he write on there on the envelopes? No, it wasn't heroin. It was I fucking know. It was fucking anything they wanted. They saw, you know. Send me the money.
Quentin's in the chat. He said he's got to call you.
Hey, quit.
Let's see. Let's see. Quentin says, tell Pete LaFroscia, I personally think Danny Grillo was a piece of shit for selling everybody the same boat. That's the true story, huh? Danny Grillo sold everybody the same boat?
I guess.
I guess Quentin knows something.
Quentin and Danny know that.
Quentin knows a lot of stuff over there. We know that. Yeah, you ever heard of Vinny Artuso, Gambino guy?
Artuso sounds familiar.
No.
Maybe.
No.
Vincent Artuso.
How about another guy? This is another guy. This is a guy that was also involved in the car business, stealing cars, who might have been on the periphery of you guys. He actually gets murdered, I think, in the early 90s or the late 80s. I don't recall. But somewhere between 89 and 91 or 2. Thomas Gilmore, Red Gilmore. You remember this character?
I heard Red Gilmore. I didn't know him personally, but I heard of him.
You didn't know him personally? Okay.
I told you, that's why they call me Mr. Mysterious. I would come and I would disappear.
Right. Yeah. Cam Doubleday. You ever go to watch Freddie Tonomi race?
Yes, at National Speedway with his funny cars. Yes, he did in his Drexes.
Really?
I used to watch him on Forster Avenue. You forget about it in Brooklyn. Fucking nut. Fucking 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. He'd go down Forster Avenue with that fucking funny car. Jesus Christ, he had to be doing almost 200 miles an hour.
Loud, huh?
Wow, it's scary. Somebody pulls out of a side street, it's all, I don't give a shit what you say. But on one side of 4th Street, it was all junkyard, so there was nobody coming out at that time. But on the other side, there was houses there. I said, Fred, what are you doing, man? Probably by the time he got to, let's see, remember Street Avenue, he hit that parachute. Boom.
Oh, he really had the parachute ready, actually?
Oh, yeah, man.
Pop out? Oh,
Yeah,
shit, he was really ready, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I used to go, when I used to go, he was one of the top guys there was Don Garlic, and him used to race, talk shit. Don Garlic was big on the racing board at that time, funny cars.
So you would get in fights with the other funny car guys?
Freddie liked to talk a lot of shit.
There's a story that he stole Don Schumacher's car.
Did he? I don't know that.
Yeah. There was a whole wanted poster out there looking for Don Schumacher's car. Apparently, Freddie was the one that stole it.
Well, I know two guys. I know 2 cars that got stolen. That was one was Reggie Jackson's got stolen. That we would give it a phone call. If you got it, just give it back. And some other. Oh God, they brought the Cadillac one night, and it was a policy guy, and he had all the fucking policies in the trunk of the car. Now, let me tell you something. There's folks coming in left to right. You go where that car is, bring that car back. Don't touch stuff in the trunk, man.
So, yeah, this is a story that I've heard before. Reggie Jackson's car being stolen by the Roy DeMeo crew. Now, who actually stole this car? Who was the one that physically took this car? Do you remember?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No.
Okay, so Pete doesn't remember. But what happened?
Go ahead. What happened? What?
No, go ahead. What happened after his car was stolen, though?
It's like the phone's ringing. Got to get the car back. If these guys got it, but we'll just park it in and worry about it. Somebody says, just pay me for what fucking night's work, and I'll park the car. That's where I'm going to be here. And they did.
Yeah.
I paid me, put the car back.
All right. Yeah, I heard that story before. Yeah. That's funny. That is crazy. Okay. Was it true that cats maybe give me another one, Archilla. That's a little too specific. A little too specific. Any more questions for Pete? He says he's going to hang out for like an hour tonight. We got about 20 more minutes. If anybody else wants to ask any more questions. Quentin says Vito Arena was the bouncer at the gay part of Nino and Roy's Bricktown, New Jersey business.
That old trick. They say that they use that his name in The Sopranos when they killed
Right. Vito. Joe Ganascoli, yeah.
Yeah, right.
They say that it's that other guy in Jersey, Amato, but Joe Ganascoli, the guy that plays Vito, says in an interview or a couple of interviews that he read Murder Machine.
And he took it in.
And he saw Vito's character in there and he bought it to the Chase or whoever. Hey, say, this is really fucking interesting. Mm-hmm. And then I think he said that they kind of forgot about it, but then they came back to him. They were like, yeah, maybe that is a little interesting. We're going to make you gay. He was fat like Vito too,
Just like him, except he's a better looking guy, I tell you. Vito.
Yeah.
You got pictures show people what Vito looks like?
I might have a photo. I could probably just bring him up on the
oh my God.
What? We really don't have a Vito. Actually, in the FBI files, there is a photo of Vito standing up for a lineup, like a police photo.
Right.
And you could see how fat he is. I mean, he's
just
really
look at the murders. His head looked like really his big body, a little teeny head, and his head was a watermelon. So you can imagine how big his body was.
Yeah.
That's how I used to call him, watermelon head.
Watermelon head.
He looked like he had a head like a watermelon because his body was bigger than his head. And sprouted out.
I could share the screen. All right, let's see. Share screen. All right, so here we go. Here's a bunch of pictures. There's Vito right there. There's Vito. It's funny. They actually have a mugshot of John Wayne Gacy that comes up when you look up Vito Arena. What the hell is that about? Two fat gay guys, I guess. So here's Vito standing up at a Christmas party, but he doesn't look, he looks big there, but he doesn't look like really fat.
No, he looks a little thin there. Yeah.
He looks a little thin. He's still, very overweight, but he looks thinner there. Here's one of my videos, guys. Watch that one. Vito Arena arrested eating Chinese food. Where I, of course, he'd be arrested eating. Yeah, but a lot of people, you guys kind of know what Vito looks like. And he was arrested with his boyfriend Joey Lee eating Chinese food out in Long Island.
God, and Joey Lee got busted out in Texas for a homicide. Vito Arena put him in. They had him in Otisville in the witness protection room. Do you know that he would stop with his statements and say, "I want Joey here with me"? 2 days later, that son of a bitch being Otisville right in the same cell with him. I mean, what the fuck is this government about, man? Give him everything he wants. He'll tell us whatever we don't want to hear. I mean, I could never understand when the 5 heads got indicted and they had all the witnesses in that Otisville. Let me tell you how Otisville is first. In that witness protection wing, it's a wing set always on the side, surrounded by woods. You know what I mean? Basically. Now, you got the 5 heads of the family. What the fuck, man? You got mercenaries. Take that whole fucking thing out. Boom. I'm sure in doing that, you'll help a lot of people. But, to let them know that you're just going to let them sit there and they did so many other things. Why not that? I mean, you kill them individually when you find out. Why not kill them in a lump sum? I mean, the fuck? Yeah. Rats are rats, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with all that shit that we were talking about before.
Right. Half of them, I'm going to say, say 50 of them, 40 of them are fucking lying for the government to get out of their own shit. You know what I mean? And the other 10 probably telling the truth. You know what I mean? There's always going to be people that tell the truth. Just look what they did in Italy with Falcone, right?
When they killed,
They did. They couldn't get him, right? So what they do? They took like half a mile of the highway out, his whole entourage, his family, and they blew the whole fucking half a mile out. Over here, they don't do shit to these guys, They get pushed around, but that's America, a good country, democracy, you don't do shit. Man, you put me away for life, and you're sitting over there. You got the guy that's going to do it sitting in that place over there. I don't got to get to you. I got to get to him. He's a rat.
Right.
No big spiel. You know what I mean? One of the most famous articles I ever read was in Time Magazine. It was called The Year of the Rat. If you could find that, Time Magazine, I would appreciate it, Brett.
The Year of the Rat.
What a story.
When did that come out? Would that come out around when Sammy cooperated?
No, way before that. Way before. It's a great article about it.
Way before that. Really? What do you mean way before that? Like Valachi?
No, somewhere between them two. It's a story about how this boss, this drug lord, gets busted, right? And instead of all the mules telling on him, he's telling on all the mules. So when they get the mules are taking them to the big dealers, wherever they're going, across the countries or whatever, right? They would snitch on the fucking other guy, right? So his underboss, right, gets wind of this shit. Now, this guy's out on bond. He's out on bond. He invites the guy to his house, the boss, right? Now, this is going on for years, this fucking bullshit with him. Gets him in the house, and he whacks him. He whacks the boss, right? So they come and they grab, right? So they take him in, right? And they tell him, you're going to do all this. You're going to never coming out. You're going to get fried. And he says, listen to me, man. He said, this is the deal. How many millions of dollars you got invested in this investigation? They looked at me and said, well, now what? I'm your number one guy. Unless you want to go piss all that money down the drain. And sure as shit, he became the number one guy, number one rat. It was a great article. It was a good article.
Pete D's here. Thank you, Pete. I know you know Pete D and his father, I believe.
I do that family. Great family. Great people, all of them. Very, very, I respect them very much, Guy's a good guy, and they're just good family people. Look where they live. Land, opportunity, they're nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got all his honeybees over there.
Oh yeah, his father's a funny guy. Mickey, great guy. Yeah. He wasn't with anybody, but he knew everybody. One of them guys, and they all respected him.
Chris Archler, no, he's not alive. You were speaking about Patty Tess. He's not alive. I believe he was killed in, December of 1992.
Yeah, they got him up there robbing wings. He's in the wing business now. He's selling wings to people that couldn't get them.
Yeah, I did a story on my channel. You can check it out, Chris Archula. A story that a certain family member said was fake news, but he seemingly confirms it the more he runs his mouth on the internet. But we don't have to get into that. I will say that story I did was pretty good, and I stand by it. And I get to speak to Pete too, so that's cool. Let's see. Pete, you and I have to talk about liars in Florida. I don't know what that means.
Talk about liars where?
Chris Archer said he's cool. He's happy to see you on here, telling the stories.
Thank you. Appreciate you, buddy.
Eric Basora, how you doing, buddy? Brian Palladino, how are you? Brian Palladino says, did Roy dance to disco music? He can't picture it.
Oh, I never know. You know, like I said, I never seen him in that character. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, what were you not doing? Cha-cha? I mean, what were we going to do? I don't know. He wasn't that kind of guy to you know, a lot of guys, if you're a tough guy, you don't dance or you don't eat pussy, you know, because that's what you are. You never know. Blind clothes. I never knew. Maybe he danced with his wife when he was younger. You know what I mean? He might have been a dancer and he grew out of it. I tell you.
Yeah.
Disco music? I don't know. You know what?
What was? Yeah.
All the opportunities we had to go to Studio 54 on the house from Steve, Roy never took up. Yeah, Steve.
Talk about Steve Rebell.
Steve Young, yeah.
Did you know Steve Rebell well from Studio 54?
I knew him well enough to come up there with a horse and carriage. You come outside and walk me in front of all those other people.
Okay. Cool. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know if he's telling the truth or he's making a little joke, but maybe he's telling the truth. Scott Garber. Peter has a car he brought over from the UK. He used to give me rides in it. Scott Garber. Is that a joke? Do you know a Scott Garber? I can't.
I'm not sure the name, but I did bring a car back from there. And I did bring a Mercedes back. As a matter of fact, they didn't even have me here yet. They were the 450 SLC. That meant it was a bigger door on the car. They didn't have me yet. Hello, Scott. I don't remember you, but did you enjoy the ride? You must have. You're still here.
I think it was a Rolls Royce. I don't know.
Rolls Royce. I don't know about that now.
I don't know. I can't picture you in a Rolls Royce.
Nah, me neither.
David Lopez, what's going on? Carmine S says, Pete, did you steal cars only in New York or other states?
Basically in New York only, and I brought them to other states. So if that's what you want to know, really, I sold cars down in Florida.
Okay.
On the next interview, I'm going to tell you a story about Florida, Pete, and cars. You'll laugh.
Yeah. And Joey Frakes, was it Joey Frakes or I'm sorry, hold on. Bruno, was it Bruno? Yeah, I'm gonna ask that question in a second, Bruno. Scott Garber says that you knew his dad, Charlie, he lived on 80th.
Oh,
Charles Garber.
I probably did. That was a little stomping ground for me. I knew basically everybody in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Worth knowing to me, you know.
Well, that's cool, Scott. Thanks for sharing.
I guess his father's not here no more. He said that. If so, I'm sorry to hear it. He was a good father. He's a good man.
He said his dad was friends with your dad as well as Marilyn.
Oh, my father's really? You knew them two, huh? Now them two swingers, my father and Marilyn. No. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's this story with you and John Belushi.
Oh my God. See, I hate to tell that story because his brother's a good guy, and you know, I don't want to insult the family and stuff like that, but I'll tell you out of character that it wasn't me, it was somebody else. How's that? We'll tell that story next time too. This way I could, if we could do it
You'd rather say it next time?
I'll tell you what I thought of the guy. Tell you what the other Pete thought of the guy and what happened. The other Pete, yeah. You know, I'm a Gemini, so you got to talk to the other Pete about that.
Oh, okay.
It would be kind of embarrassing to his brother, you know what I mean? And I think his brother.
Right. Well, I don't think his brother watches my show. I mean, it would be cool if he did, but I don't think he does.
You never know.
You never know, I guess. You never know. I've had some interesting people.
You got people calling you from Ireland, all over the world.
Yeah. You never know. Damon Stewart says, can Pete the Pick fight good? Were you a fighter? Did you throw your hands around, Pete? Were you scared to get knuckle up?
Yeah, that's the last thing I was. As much time I did in prison, I got over that fear right away.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think you told me about somebody that called in and said that I was on a canteen line. The old man, and he remembered me because I was young.
Yes.
These two Black American guys were pushing down this old man just getting off the canteen line to take his canteen, you know. And I'm watching, nobody's doing that, you know. At that time I had a cane, so I kind of stepped out and said something and kind of whacked one of them in the head, and the other one ran away, and the old man got his canteen back. Now, I didn't remember it till the kid brought the article up to Brett here. Says, I remember him from that. He was the only guy that got out of line. I wasn't going around looking for fights, but I never ran from one. Unless the guy had a gun and I had a run. So other than that, I took my lumps like everybody else. I'm not a big guy, but I lived in Brooklyn. If you didn't fight, I don't know. It's just a natural thing,
Yeah, you grew up in that time. David Lopez has a question. We've spoken about this before. He just wants to know about the Iceman. Did you ever see that Iceman movie? They not the HBO stuff. They actually made a movie. Did you ever see that one, Pete?
I'm not sure. I might have. Yeah, I think so. And pretty much he was who he was. From what I understand, I seen him. I never really, conversated with him. He talked to Roy because he was involved with all that pornography and shit, when they got involved. And he was freelance, you know what I mean? So whatever they felt they didn't want to do, he kind of did it now, so.
But he wasn't Roy's hitman. I mean, he was just involved with some porn shit or whatever, right?
Right, no. Roy
Imagine Roy needing a hitman. I mean, people actually believe that shit, Pete. I mean, that's one of the biggest hoaxes in American television history.
I want to know, do they also believe that he killed Roy? Because he said...
He killed Galante, he killed Roy, he killed Gallo, he killed everybody.
Well, the only thing I can say about him, it's like a 50-50 borderline. Are you saying that because you're taking the pressure off a lot of other people because, murder cases never close. So either just going down, are you really that tough guy that you said this, or are you just bullshitting, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Not to mention the Philip Carlo book that was written, The Iceman, is a travesty of a book. I mean, the historical dates are way off. All of this stuff, a lot of the stuff in relation to the crew makes absolutely no sense. People are out doing things when they're in prison. He gets names wrong, dates wrong. People are even identified as being alive when they're already dead in that book, like Paul Rothenberg. I mean, it's a joke of a book. And as I was saying before, HBO doing that, it's one of the biggest hoaxes in American television history. And they had even consulted with guys like Frank Pergola, detectives at the time, who told them nah, this is not it. You guys are doing something wrong here. And they were like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're going to do it anyway. I mean, this is historical fact. It's a shame, really, I guess, if people are interested in that stuff. It's because people want to know the truth. So it's a shame that they would let a guy lie like that.
As you mentioned, Mr. Pergola, I'd like to say that whatever you say, you can take it to the bank just about. He was a straight-up cop, did his homework, didn't dumb rats. He went out there and walked the beat. If he got you, he got you. You couldn't complain, you know what I'm saying? That's it, You were on this side of the fence, he was on that side of the fence. He'd work to get you. He didn't depend on guys snitching and believing all that shit. He had to know for a fact. So wherever you are, that's all I got to say about you. I know you don't like me, but what the hell?
Frank Pergola. Yeah, I don't think he likes you, but
it's your job not to like me.
Right.
Sounds like me, you had no job.
Right. I mean,
but I held no grudges. Trust me.
Yeah, it was a different dynamic back then too.
Oh yeah,
with the cops back then on the street, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
they would, I mean,
hey, when I was growing up, they took me in one time. I was young, probably about 18, right? 17, 18, like that. And then they said something to me about something. I says, I don't know what the fuck it's talking. So he said, let's tell you what we're gonna do. I won't put a telephone book on your head, Pete. This is in the 63 precinct. He says, if you get all that telephone book on your head for 5 minutes in that chair, I'm gonna let you walk out of here and I can bother you no more. I said, fuck, I could do that. So I'm sitting there, the book was on my head. I'm watching my watch. About 3 minutes go by, and all of a sudden, smash. Fucking other cops snuck up on me, hit me with a nightstick. Let me tell you, vibration alone went down to my ankles. I was shaking. He says, oh, I guess your pants got to get out of here. They were different back then,
different stuff, yeah, especially with how they had their relationships on the streets with gangsters. Like nowadays, like maybe I could picture I don't know if I can picture like a cop or a plainclothes like trying to have a conversation or teasing like gangsters or something, whatever gangsters left on the street. I mean, back then it wouldn't have been uncommon. We hear reports of Roy having these little jokes and these little back and forths with Kenny McCabe or whatever it may be. I mean, that was just a thing now back then, right? They would just roll up on you, say, "What are you doing, you little prick?" and start like messing with you a little bit, right?
Kenny McCabe is an exception to the rule. That guy
Kenny
was so,
McCabe?
yeah, he was so diehard, dedicated to his job that he was a cop's cop. I gotta tell you something. When he got off his 8-hour shift, he'd work another 8-hour shift of his own. He was determined to get Paul, no matter what. You know, you got to remember something about him. His father, you know, who I believe why he did this was a bag man. So he wanted to outlive that reputation, and he kind of did that. I'm telling you, Roy would walk out on Freddie's the only one that would fuck with him. I tell you the truth, you know. I told you, I seen this guy stacking up the houses where I lived. You know, me, Joey, and we lived pretty close together. A few other people, and he would come in that little Volkswagen. This guy's a giant.
Who is this? Kenny?
Yeah,
He would be spying on you and Joey and Anthony's houses.
It's like 11:30, 12 at night. Coming home.
Relentless, huh?
And it's cold as shit, man. And how could you not recognize him? You go by that Volkswagen, well, you see a head. He's huge. This guy's like 6'4". So I used to go past him and I used to back up. I said, Kenny, man, what are you doing? I said, you're freezing your balls off for what? He says, it's my job. It's your job. He says, I'm going home and get you some hot chocolate. He says, I can't do that. So I just I go around the block, go get hot chocolate, bring it up to leave it on the hood of his Volkswagen. I said, don't spill it, I leave. He said, I can't do that. I can't take that. I said, but you know, his son wrote me a letter while I was in prison. And I didn't know that his sons and my sons were very good friends. They were at his house all the time. You know, I didn't know that at the time. So I get this letter, right? And he says, listen, I only want to know about my dad. I says, I'm gonna tell you what he said to him. I says, listen, your father was a diehard cop. He was a real cop's cop. He did his homework, he did whatever, and he went above and above the call of duty as far as that. So I'm concerned. And the honor he got out of that is when they locked Paul up, that he was the one that put the cuffs on him. He was allowed to put the cuffs on him. You know, I mean, that was like biggest dream for him, you know, that he did that and kind of was trying to flip the pages what his father did, I guess. But I said, your father was a good cop. You know, I mean, I'm sorry he passed away. I didn't know that. You know, I mean, there should be more cops like him, and there'd be less prisons wouldn't be so full because there'd be less rats. Your father didn't believe in rats. He believed in doing his homework. He walked the beat. If he got you, he got you. And you couldn't disrespect a cop like that. You know?
Yeah. That's interesting. So Kenny McCabe's son wrote you a letter. He found where you were located in prison, and he wanted to know what you had about. He wanted to know about his father.
I want to know what can I tell him about his dad.
That's interesting. Wow.
I said, your father didn't have hours. He didn't have nothing. He was dedicated to cleaning up the streets of New York.
Yeah. Carmine S wants to know if you were ever at any Roy's barbecues, like the ones that are on YouTube that we've looked at before. Ever at any Roy's parties? I mean, obviously you weren't at that one, but
no, I think I made one or two. You gotta remember something. I was always like I'm on an installment plan in prison. You know what I mean? They always try to get me because they always figured they could flip me. You know what I mean? When you get out of prison, I don't care how much time you do, whatever it is, you definitely don't want to go right back into prison. And they prey on guys like that, especially, you know, because they're going to hit you. They say, you want to go back to prison? You got a brand new baby. You got all this shit. Do you want to go back? That's it. Like, pressure point, you know? So I was away a lot of times in barbecues were going on, you know? But I called up and they would tell me what we were eating, and I used to hang up on them. I'm starving in prison with this bullshit to get me to tell me about all these hors d'oeuvres and shit. Anyhow, as far as that goes, I think I might have been at one total. When I was home. If I was home, I was invited. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, I was always somewhere where I didn't want to be.
Hey, somebody asked before. Let's take Nino Gaggi out of the question because Nino Gaggi is essentially the guy. Even though we call it the Roy DeMeo crew, even though the press refers it to the murderous Roy DeMeo crew, they seemingly forget Nino all the time. All right, let's take him out of the picture for a second. Somebody asked a question before. I guess it's a hypothetical. Let's say Roy DeMeo crew. Roy's at the top. He's number one. Is there anyone that would be looked at as like a second in command, or does that not exist?
Dracula.
Dracula. Really?
You gotta remember something. You didn't hear much about Dracula, but that was a fucking no-nonsense guy. If Roy thought he would do something, he would do it. He didn't give a fuck what it was.
Yeah, you say Dracula was a tough, no-nonsense guy, Joseph Guglielmo?
Yeah, he was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you're out there somewhere, Dracula. So wherever you are, stay where you are, because.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he had a extensive criminal record. I mean, he was involved with gambling. He was involved with bank robberies. I mean, a bunch of shit going back to like, you know, many years, the 40s, whatever it may be.
Roy was just like Lord and Master, you know what I mean? He'd be a perfect on the bus for Roy. He would never let nobody get through him to get to Roy.
Really?
You know? Yeah, he was. Well, that's what I was saying. Just had a hell of it, you know, if you had him having on the bus. I don't know who'd be that. I don't know who'd be Consigliere because none of them had the brains for that. You know, the ones that listen. Roy had Freddie as his chauffeur. I don't know, fucking brutal that he was. But
I mean, no offense, Pete, but come on, what a freak show! I mean, you got this fucking guy Dracula in the apartment, and then you say you got this fucking race car lunatic Freddie driving Roy around.
Guy had a set of papers in his pocket, said he was a certified nut.
Yeah,
legitimate fucking papers.
Right.
You know?
And then you get this fat, obese gay guy. Then you got a couple of good-looking guys over here. I mean, what a ragtag! I mean, it's just
I went away.
You can't make it up, man. You really just can't make it up.
I said the same thing. The same stuff. I went away. It was a magnificent 7. I come home. Now it's a magnificent 10. I don't think so. Them 3 guys caused so much shit that it was unbelievable. Half of the stuff that we got indicted for would have never made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is, you know.
My friend Tony, Corruption Connection, he wants to know if you ever did any business with anybody in Harlem or uptown over there.
Did I ever do any business with somebody? Well, I've been up there. You know, I've been to a few places up there with.
That was what's his name?
I got to see I got to see him anyhow. I never got to talk to him. It was Bumpy Johnson.
Bumpy Johnson.
Yeah, he was the head Harlem fucking numbers guy there. He ran the shit guy. I seen him. I never got to spoke to him. Somebody else was talking to him. But that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And the one guy you did mention last time was Fast Eddie Rendini. He was more with the Harlem, right? Because of the dope and everything that he was pressing. He was pushing the dope.
Right. I believe he's
another guy, another interesting character. You know, I say it all the time. It's like, I like New York City criminal history, Pete. People say I know a lot about the mob, organized crime. The truth is I really don't. I mean, there's a lot of eras in organized crime that I like, Pete, like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, more so 70s, 80s, 90s. But I'm not like a fucking complete mafia historian. But I often wonder, Pete, how many times have 20-something guys be indicted together who all had like Roy DeMeo in common, and not only that, but the government was alleging that each and every one of them had bodies under their belts. I mean, how often has something like that even happened? I mean, usually you get an indictment, this guy's robbing over here, all right, this guy did this over here, a couple of these guys killed people, but the government, it was like all 20 guys, Pete. They said this guy, every single one of these guys murdered people, every single one of them, and these are the guys that did it.
Let me put it this way. Me and you go out, right? And
just speak up a little bit, Pete.
Okay. Me and you driving along, right? And you stop at a gas station, where, right? I'm going inside to get cigarettes, wherever, even though I don't smoke. And I come out, boom. The guy inside got killed. Guess what you're being charged with?
Right.
You had nothing to do with it. But you're charged with murder, just like me.
Yeah.
You got to think about RICO. RICO's. The only way I can explain racketeer and RICO in that case is, take a big pot of spaghetti, right? Take it as hard as you can, slam it up against the wall. Some of that shit's going to stick. And that's a fact. You understand? Well, you're going to be able to convince somebody to enjoy that some of that shit's true. And, that's just what it is, And,
I just find it fascinating. Like Archulus says, I wonder what Paul Castellano, if he was pissed at all you guys for having him indicted, did he blame the crew? Yeah, because once again, it's like he got indicted because of Roy DeMeo, and like 20-something guys, probably 18 of them, he has no idea who the fuck they are.
Nah, believe me, his biggest thing was, how can I say, he got indicted. He got himself indicted. His greed nobody liked him. He's a greedy son of a. You're declaring, like I said before, $11-something million a year, right? In taxes. Why would you have to have your hand down? These guys would do anything for you. You're the guy. You're the guy. You're Carlo Gambino's right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Live and let live. You guys are starving out there. All the other ethnic groups are making tons of money with drugs and shit, and you're telling your guys you get. All right, I can understand too much time involved. It's not like it used to be. I remember the days when you got pinched for something, you go to jail. Your family got X amount of dollars to take care of the rent or whatever the fuck they had to do with their food and shit, and you got a little canteen money. So when you came out, you didn't feel like you were abandoned. You know what I mean? And then today you got guys that are in there, right, doing time, and then there's a big indictment coming down, right? And this guy's got a family and all that shit, right? And you go tell him, listen, man, nothing, but you got to sell your house because you got to pay. What the fuck you mean I got to sell my house, man? I'm doing this time for you guys right now.
Right.
What's going on here? You know what I mean? Sometimes, you make choices that aren't correct by putting pressure on it. Wait till I come home and then tell me what I got to do. You know what I mean? Don't tell me when I'm sitting in a fucking 8x10 cell that I got my family's got to go out on the street. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm standing there like, for you guys, well, why? The old days, they took care of you. You weren't living in a lap of luxury, but you didn't have to worry about Christmas for your kids. You didn't have to worry about none of that stuff. You know what I mean? Your rent was paid. They had food on the table, okay? And you got a little bit, even if you got nothing, the pressure, knowing that they were doing that was like, made your time much easier,
Yeah.
That's
Well, two-part question on that, what you just said. You said Paul got himself indicted, which I guess is true. You're the boss, right? But in saying that, are you kind of implying that he let Roy get away with too much because he wanted the money?
He always thought Roy was a loose cannon, but Roy got what he got for whatever he did. But the thing is, why? You got an underboss, you got consigliere, and you got capos, okay? Then you got associate. Why would you have one guy directly that isn't nothing? He's nothing. He's an associate of a May guy. Bring something directly to you from that organization.
Oh, Dominic Montiglio, yeah.
Yeah. Why? If you got, you're so smart. Why would you do that? Why would you take away all your buffers and just walk right straight to you? And how did he get indicted? Because of him. Straight up.
Right. And I know, guys in the chat, I know the Gambino crime family doesn't revolve around the Roy DeMeo crew. I know that. I'm just speaking to the 1984 indictment and, kind of what Pete is saying in reference to this. And my other question to you, Pete, is that removing the Italian mafia aspect, removing the Gambino family from the situation, Pete. You had other things going on at that time. Let's say like the East Harlem Purple Gang, right?
Yeah.
Let's say like those guys. Some people say they operated as like a sixth family in New York City. They would kill people. I often wonder. I often think that Roy could have kind of done the same thing.
Shit, yeah.
Where he didn't even need, because he had the wherewithal and the smarts, and some people call him like a Fagin type character, like the Oliver Twist, the Fagin-esque type character, where he was good at recruiting these underlings and schooling them on things. And by the time it was all said and done, he had like 20 something fucking guys doing his bidding. I mean, you almost think that he could have just did his own thing. You ever thought about that?
Sure I did. But he was so obsessed with that little thing they wear, that
the button.
That he's not, he's a friend of mine. He's a friend of ours. That's who he wanted to hear. Some people get stuck on stupid sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
He had the world by the balls, as far as I'm concerned. When he got the tip that he should go, he'd go. He made his own funeral arrangements. He did all that shit. You know what I mean? Why? I don't understand. You did. Okay. I don't know. Some kids want a bicycle for Christmas. They don't give a fuck how they get it. You know what I mean? What it's going to cost them later down the road. He was obsessed with that thing, and he got with the happiest day of his life. I believe that I remember him was when he came home with that news. You know what I mean? It was
when he got his button.
He's like floating on clouds. You know what I mean? Listen, that's a wonderful thing if that's what you believe that you want. You know what I mean? But there ain't no fucking Santa Claus. Trust me.
I guess he wanted you guys to feel good about it too, right?
Well, we were happy for him, not for that, for him. Because listen, you got that kind of money, you got that kind of rep, and you could show X amount of you could do whatever you want. He could open up 7 businesses. We'd all be operating right now, legitimate businesses, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Because listen, he's obviously very intelligent. I mean, look how many things he was able to manipulate, businesses he was able to run. He had his hands in so many things. What is it then?
I told you.
It's the button. He wants the button really bad, right?
That he wants that honor, that prestige. You know, people go by it. To him, it was his prestige, his honorable. He wanted to be.
But he must have had an obsession with being feared.
Well, let's go. I'm going to refer to movies because it helps me out. Like, let's talk about the Bronx Tale.
Right, loved and feared.
What happened when they asked Sonny, would you rather be loved or feared? What did he say? I'd rather be feared. You know, because with that fear, a lot of privileges came with it. You know, if I don't have to hit you with a bat because you're so scared of me, you're just going to give me what I want. You know what I mean? Thinking about, I don't want to get hit with that bat. You know, but if I don't have that reputation, then I physically got to do something sometimes, you know, to show you that I am capable of that. But he had that, like, that Doberman that didn't bite, you know what I mean? People kind of caved into a lot of things that he wanted them to do because of it. You didn't have to basically beat him on the head, you know what I mean? Because of that fear. But like you said, he was very smart. He was an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, yeah. Doo Baxter, funny name there. You got $2. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. He says he owns a piece of Roy's tie. Like a tie. I think he meant to write tie, like a necktie. He wishes that you could verify it somehow. You know, at some point, Albert was selling off a lot of Roy's belongings over the years.
Smell the sauce.
Yeah.
Getting me sauce stains out of the spaghetti.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know, can you describe Roy's physical appearance? Height?
Sure. Roy was about 5'9", a little stocky, a little chubby. But as far as him being physically fit, fucking guy was a beast. I told you, I came home from jail and I was in top shape. I thought I was anyhow. He said, come on to the gym with me. I went to the gym with me. So we started working out, right? I'm pushing like maybe 225, 250, right? And I'm light. I'm about 160 pounds. He got down there, he warmed up with about 100 something pounds. He went up to 450 pounds, he bench pressed like it was nothing. I said, holy shit. So now we went to so he says, I said, okay, I get him in cardio. I used to run 8 miles a day about, right? You know, so I get him in cardio. He said, come on, we'll hit the track. I said, gotcha, sucker. I'm driving after 8 miles, this fucking guy's still going. By the time I got up the track, but I had to go to bed, so I had to throw up. I was sick. I came out and I says, you were fucking sleep, he started laughing.
He outdid you. Yeah.
God, let me tell you, when he grabbed you, whether it was working in the push up, lifting him fucking beef up, whatever, you couldn't get out of that grip. He had a death grip. He had a grip on you like.
Yeah, it's scary to even hear that. I mean, you're looking at him as a friend, but to me, you know, I could think of so many things how that could be terrifying.
And he was a sleeper because you got to remember, you used to wear those little sharkskin suits, you know, nothing impressive.
Yeah.
You know? Little guy standing on the corner, you think, no, that guy ain't no fucking badass.
Yeah.
I can take his shit. Yeah, okay, try it. Be less shit you try to take, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Derek Washington, that person you're mentioning, we don't speak about that person on my channel. Roy was not from East New York either. And no offense to you, Derek. I'm sure you're a great person, but I'm going to answer that question. We'll get a couple more questions. Then I got one more question for Pete, and I'm going to let him go. That's a good question, Angel Designs. I've often wondered about that. What happened to Roy's Cadillac after the police took it to Highway 2 on Flatbush Avenue and popped the trunk? What happened to the Cadillac? It should probably be in the fucking mob museum or something, Pete, right?
I mean, they show up like Bonnie and Clyde's car. Now, if they had the one before that, it would have been a lot more interesting. That one had a lot of different bullet holes in it. But this one, I'm not sure. Like you said, he got a new car every year. He had to get one that time.
Yeah, we'll send it to the Smithsonian.
I don't know if that went back to his family or if it just disappeared. You know what I mean? I'm sure his family probably wanted nothing to do with that. You know, probably just left it, said, sell it, give me $25. So they want nothing to know with their father get killed in trouble. Why would you want that?
Yeah, I wonder if the family gets the car back at some point.
I'm saying they probably didn't want it, you know, for that reason. They want money. Right. You know, who wants a car back that, you know, your father died and killed him, whatever you want to say. His demise.
Yeah. I guess you know, that would be kind of morbid. Yeah, my dad was found.
Yeah. You know, maybe they wanted the chandelier, but I don't know what the car.
Yeah. Let me say hello to Roro G. Hey, Roro. No, it's okay. Glad you're here. Always glad that you're here. I have maybe a weird question for you, Pete, and this might mess with your head a little bit. Think back into your brain. You've been around a lot of people in your life. A lot of interesting people, scary people, some would say.
Yeah.
If you can remember whether this was said to you or whether this was said to somebody else or it was just said generally, what was one of the scariest thing you have ever heard somebody say?
Wow.
Something that might have put a chill down your spine, or you might have just been like, fuck.
Okay, I want to say this, that
Let's be clear and loud. I want everyone to hear it.
I'm very clear about this. I'm not sure who it was, but this is going on. I'm going to have to say hearsay, but it was said a few times that a certain individual that was a rat, right, and did something very bad to somebody was captured, all right, and he was, they did amazing things to this guy to torture him, right, and how they woke him up was, believe it or not, is they cut his hand off, right, from what I understand, and they slapped him in his face till he woke up. Now,
Okay.
me, that was pretty gruesome, but that's story.
Interesting. Okay.
If you want to know, that's a gruesome story, man. Getting slapped.
Wow.
And looking down and said, "Wow." You know, supposedly when they cut the hand off, they cauterized it so he didn't lose no blood. They wanted to keep him alive for a while, I guess. The bottom line is, when somebody told me, I said, "Jesus, that's morbid." You know what I mean? I mean,
wow.
Getting whipped up by your own hand.
Pretty horrifying. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style stuff.
Yeah, they got it out of some movie, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I believe a lot of movies are made from bits of truth. Then they create a big movie from it.
Well, yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, I say like Ed Gein, serial killer. Well, he wasn't really a serial killer. I think he killed like maybe one or two. I don't know. Whatever. Yes. He's one of the inspirations. That movie actually partly financed by the mob, the Columbos, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
Why the government's so mad? Because they fucked up during Prohibition and made all these guys fucking rich, you know. And now, without that, shit, that was like the goose that laid the golden egg. Prohibition.
Yep. Yeah. Truth. Simon 11. This is something that always gets talked about. Do you think Roy would have ever flipped? I mean, I don't see how he could have. But
No, what was he gonna tell him himself? That's cerebral. That's not Roy DeMeo. Roy DeMeo was a man's man. Come to that. He had so much pride in that thing and honor. You know what I mean? And just think, he wasn't even at the position that Sammy was. So, in my personal opinion, nah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, Joey, I'm just finishing up my podcast, and all right, buddy. What? Okay, buddy. Love you, bro. All right. One of the greatest guys I ever met in my life.
Yeah, Joe, right? Yeah, I met Joe.
Yeah, that's right.
How's he doing?
Doing great. He's a good guy. You know,
funny guy. Yeah. All right, you have to go over to his place, huh?
It's his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Joe.
I'll tell him when I get there.
Yeah. All right, Pete. Well, listen, this was fun. We did a little over an hour. I think we got some good questions in, some good conversation. Oh, we have a cash app from Roro G, the great Roro G, Pete. She said $100. She said 50 for me, 50 for you.
Wow, bro. It's the one that he named you twice.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roro. And Pete is definitely going to get that. So that's 50 for me, 50 for you, Pete. That's really generous of Roro.
That's generous. I'll let you take me out to dinner when I get to New York.
Yeah, you better get your ass soon. Come on.
I just want to thank everybody again for, joining us in this, what would you call it? Interview. And I want to
discussion.
I want to thank you for the prayers for my cousin, God rest his soul.
Yes.
And I want you to really think about what I said about, I don't care about this money. Trust me. I'm at this age, money ain't that important to me no more. If it does become that important to me, you'll read about an old man robbing an armored car. Either I get away with all the cash or I go to federal prison. It's like an old man's home. Either one. I ain't worried about it. But
listen. Before you rob that armored car, you got to at least come to New York. We'll do a few things over here, and then I'll send you off to go get it with the Brinks truck or whoever you want to get with.
Might have one right there. Who knows? Future. Anyhow, again, this is about hoping in my heart. I mean, that somebody's listening here that's thinking about getting into this lifestyle, and all the glamour it is, all the glamour it isn't. It's not. It was at a time semi cool. Now it's, you think about it. You just think about it. You know, well, everybody was somebody today basically is what? Either dead, in prison, or a rat. Now, them three choices, you don't want to make any one of them. You could make more money working every day on a regular job, you know, instead of shoveling shit against the tide for a penny a day, because that's what you're doing. Okay. And so please, if anybody out there listening, I'm trying to say everything as respectfully and as honest as I can. I'm telling you, it's not the lifestyle you want anymore. No.
Yeah.
Never, but you know, back then at least it was something of honor. Today, I can't say anything good about it because I don't know. I'm not in it no more. And thank God I was given a pass to get out of it. And that's all I can say. I love you all very much, and I appreciate you very much. And Roro, thank you again. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Roro. And thank you, Pete. I always appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get back into the swing of things.
Hopefully.
And, you know, we'll get some stuff going on. I'm still trying to get you to New York. I'm going to guilt you into it. Every time you come on here, I'm going to bring it up. And we'll get you here. We'll get you here. But, yeah. All right, Pete. Thank you so much, man. I'll call you tomorrow. I'll call you this week.
Love you so. Good night.
All right. Good night, Pete. Thank you so much.
Take care. Love you.
Take care. Love you too, buddy. Thank you.
You're
All right, guys. The Pete back for another appearance, hanging out. I'll see if we got a couple of other comments here. Steve Zane. Did Dracula have a dildo in his apartment? Pete's still behind the scenes. He just got up and laughed, and he's fucking walking away. We're gonna kick him now. Hold on, let me kick it from the studio. He's laughing. All right, Pete. Pete liked that one. Pete liked that one. He was laughing. He was laughing. All right, guys. So I'll bullshit for a little bit. Like I said, I haven't been on here in a long time. What's going on, Bo Farmer? What's going on, Bo? Thank you, Derek Washington. Thank you, Roro. Let's see. What have I done lately? I got an interview that I'm supposed to be recording this week with a very interesting individual. I released that Nicholas Tartaglione documentary. If you guys have not seen that, please watch that if you have time. And when I say if you have time, I mean, do you have 51 minutes to kill? Do you have 51 minutes? Because that's how long that little documentary is. I did a lot of work, a lot of research on that. So check that out. I have another video coming out tomorrow. It is about a cold case. It's only about a 12-minute long video. It's about a cold case that was solved in New York City. Starts in the 1970s, takes us all the way into the 2020s. So it's a little short documentary about that one. It's about, like I said, it's about 12, 13 minutes long. We'll put that out tomorrow. I'm going to be recording an interview also. I've done some other things, guys. My last two videos, as you can see, they have nothing to do with the mafia, with organized crime. And we got 30,000 views on that Necro. We got a little over 11,000 on the Tartaglione. The next cold case video has nothing to do with the mob. My interview coming up has nothing to do with the mob. You guys starting to see a little pattern here? I'm moving away from this stuff. Of course, Pete will be here. I will still do location videos for mob stuff because you guys really love those, and those usually do well for me. And I'll still do like long form documentary things on interesting characters. Probably I got a couple of those I want to do. Things that no one has done. But other than that, I'm really, distancing myself. And based on the results from my last two videos, it shows me that I probably could do it and get into success with that. And maybe it'll hurt me. I really don't know. But I don't want anything to do with this world, with these people, mostly many of these people that operate within this genre either. Simon 11. Would Roy have become a major coke importer if he survived the 80s? He could have become the biggest money maker over cars and laws. Well, they were selling a lot of coke. If you look at the indictments of they went down for a cocaine dealing as well. There was a lot of coke deals. Now, how big was that? Can't say for sure. Quentin Walker in the chat would know exactly the full extent of that because he has seen thousands and thousands of court documents on that. But they were very much so involved in cocaine dealing. You had a guy like Fast Eddie Rendini who was involved in heroin dealing. I mean, how much would he have been contributing to the crew? I really can't say. I mean, he was selling them silencers and guns and everything. So I don't know if his heroin stuff was really benefiting the crew, so to speak. But he did get indicted with them. He is an indicted conspirator with all those guys. Brett, you have another farm hat on. Yeah. I'm all about the farm hats. That's what I do. I go to farms in Long Island, upstate, and I buy merchandise. I feel good about that. I feel this is Briarmere Farms, way out in like Riverhead. Fucking amazing farm, amazing pies. Just an amazing bakery and an amazing farm. And yeah, that's what I do. I support local businesses. I wear local business shirts, local hats. I don't have to buy some fucking corporate swagged out fucking bullshit. I don't like that stuff. And truth be told, like shit like this for some reason is getting popular now. I don't know. Maybe I'm ahead of my time. I have no idea. But people are all coming out with like these farm hats and shit and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know. I always like to buy shit like that. I like stuff like that. Can you do ethnic group crime underworld trafficking? Well, I only focus on New York City, so I mean, I guess I could. If you go to my channel, Derek, I've done a lot on the Russian, or some would call them Soviet Jews, because that's what they were, organized crime in the 1970s to the 1990s. On my channel, I've done a documentary on Manya Elson. It is the only one that you will find on YouTube where I covered a lot of stuff. I've done a little doc on Vladimir Reznikov. I've done a story on FC Agron. So I've covered that stuff, which seemingly nobody in this space has covered. So you can check that out. Anything else outside of that, I'm not sure. As far as organized crime, I really haven't dug deep into that stuff. And of course, I've done a lot of organized crime stories on my channel. Cam Doubleday asked me if I was going to do anything else with RD. Yeah, that would be cool. I spoke to RD today. He sent me a message on Instagram. Me and RD had a little conversation earlier. So yeah, 100%. 100%. Give me 1 second. Pete's calling me. Hold on a second, guys. All right, guys. Now, Pete just mentioned he feels bad that, before when he was on, I just want to mention that his sister, Debbie, is in the hospital. That's actually where he came from. Before he came on to this chat, he was visiting his sister, Debbie, in the hospital. So we hope that she gets well soon, and her husband, Charlie, as well. Pete wanted to send out his well wishes to Charlie. And if you guys could, keep his sister in your prayers or in your mind, or if you guys don't pray, just send some well wishes over there to Pete. We hope his sister gets well soon. And we wish Charlie, your husband, the very best as well. So I just want to pass that message because Pete forgot to mention that before. Cam Doubleday. Yeah. So RD. Yeah. Me and RD we'll get together. I have another friend of mine, graffiti writer, who is out there, who also I spoke to about doing an interview. So I'm going to do more of those graffiti interviews as well. Thank you, Farmer. Thank you, Farmer. Thank you, Ruby, Edward Everett, Roro. Thank you so much. Thank you. Chris DeMeo, that guy didn't even like himself. I have a picture of Chris from high school. There he is. Samuel J. Tilden High School, 1969. Harvey Rosenberg. There he is. Would you like yourself if you looked like that in high school? I don't know about that. Well, that's what Pete said. Yeah, look at him. Now you know. Now you know why the girls, didn't treat him nice. And he got bullied. I'll look at a couple more comments. Corruption Connection. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So what else? I'll take a Derek Washington. I'll take a look. I live in Ridgewood, Queens. Soviets, Ukrainians, and Polish are deep on Fresh Pond. Every block is a spot where the hood is known. It's for them. Yeah. Yeah. So from what I know, or from what I hear, I guess a lot of that stuff right now that's going on, you have like a lot of guys from, I hear like Georgia. There's a lot of Georgian crime going on. I guess like those guys that are from what we would refer to, I don't want to say this wrong, but I guess what we would refer to like the Caucasus Mountain regions. I don't want to speak out of line in saying that. So yeah, I guess I'm right. Yeah. The Caucasus Mountain range, like we have Georgia, of course, Russia, Azerbaijan, some of these things I can't even pronounce, but those types of individuals from that area of the world, from what I hear, from what I'm told, Brighton Beach and some of those areas now are, some of the illicit activity is coming from characters such as that are from those areas. Yep. Paulie Dibbs, what's going on? Dagestan, yeah, Corruption Connection, Dagestan. Yeah. Damn, it got here late. Cash up. Thanks for this, Brett. Wishing you a happy Sunday. Yeah, happy Sunday to you too, Paulie Dibbs. Good to see you, buddy. Pete D, if you had a video of Pete trying to ride your horse, you would have a good. I have a video of Pete on a horse. IH Farmer. I have a video of Pete on a horse from prison. When he was in prison. Maybe I could find it for you guys. Let's see. Maybe I can find it on my phone real quick. So it's crazy. It's a crazy story, actually. So what prison? Let me just look it up real quick. So Pete was in Allenwood Prison in from like 1972 to 74, something like that. Pete had got arrested for trafficking of hash and weed from overseas. According to his indictment, his itinerary was very odd. He was in Spain, Africa, and all this stuff, and he had gotten back home, and then he ended up in Allenwood Prison for doing all that. And actually, Pete's indictment is actually case law. Pete is cited in almost every marijuana possession federal case in the United States. If you look at all these things, United States versus Pete LaFroscia, I believe, is the first federal case dealing with marijuana possession. If you guys could fathom that, I'm pretty sure that's true. U.S. versus Pete LaFroscia, which is fucking crazy. Yeah, so he ended up in Allenwood, and then I was looking at videos that they did stories on Allenwood Prison at that time, because you had the Watergate guys in there, and you had a lot of other stuff that Pete talks about. And I found this little documentary that they did at that time. And Pete was telling me that, he was one of the guys that was allowed to ride some of the horses. They called it like Club Fed, like they had horses, they had all this other shit. And I found this old documentary filmed at the time that Pete was there. And according to Pete, this is him in like 1972 on that horse. Which is the timeline he would have been there, and the timeline which he would have had access to these horses. Allenwood Prison. Is that pretty crazy? That is an epic video. I mean, why would he lie about something like that? I mean, that would be stupidest. I've never known Pete to tell tall tales. Brett, have you been to the spot today named Mickey Splains? I guess his son. No, I haven't. I have not. I spoke to a couple of people over there that I have access to film there, I think, in a couple of those spots whenever I get my ass over there. Yeah. Farmer, that's insane. That's insane, Bo. Maybe before I get out of here, we could find one of my Sammy videos and we could have a laugh before I go. Maybe not. Maybe not. Sorry. He's still good with horses, Pete D says. No bullshit. Awesome. I bought some honey today out on the island, Pete. I'm so jealous that you have all that honey. I bought some good honey though. With the comb in it, you know, the ones they sell with the fat piece of honeycomb in it. Yeah, we got some of that today. It's a wildflower honey. So I'm excited to try that. Once again, tomorrow I have a video coming out. I'll show you guys the thumbnail right now. So this is the thumbnail. Missing for 43 years. Woman remembers horror. That's a story that takes place in Queens. That'll come out tomorrow. And I have an interview that I'm supposed to be filming this week coming up. Michael Mormile, how are you, man? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. The interview that I'm supposed to be filming wildflowers, a favorite real life stuff. Yeah, that's what the lady said too. She says light. So I went all the way out again for like the second time this month. I went out all the way to kind of like Riverhead. I think it's technically Manorville. I don't know. It's way out there. And it was you know that farm water drinker, Gennaro? You ever heard of that one? They had something called the Garlic Festival out there today. And they had a lot of like garlic stuff and a lot of weird shit. And one of the stands was like a pickle stand. They had honey and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. Water drinker. Did you hear about the pregnant gangbang? Yeah, I heard about that lady, Tony. Yeah, I did. I heard about that. Gennaro says, yeah. Yeah, you probably know what it is. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's on Sound Avenue. You know Sound Avenue? All those spots over there. A few farms over from Ramir Farms. Yeah, it's far. It's far. Sunday morning, take me like an hour to get out there. Hour and 10 maybe from where I live. Yeah, it's not close by any means. It's not close by any means. I'd like to see stuff like that if you document it. That's a good idea. You know, I do the Crime Spot Eats stuff, Farmer, so I can do those with farms as well. Yeah, I can do that. I'd start a new channel for that stuff, you know. Maybe just start a new channel. That's how I do. That's, you know, we do that a lot. I like to go to different farms, and you know, I'm all about that stuff. I gotta get, you know, I get away from the city when I'm free. I don't fucking stay in this hellhole. Upstate, Long Island. I'm going out to Pennsylvania next weekend. It's, you know, you get the hell out of here. I don't know how people live out there. Yeah, Gennaro, that's a little too far for me. That's like way out there where there's like real like farms and shit. Like it's way out there. I don't think I could live out there. I don't know. It depends. You say that, but if you came into millions of dollars, I could probably live pretty far and not ever come back to Manhattan. If I had millions of dollars, I would move. I would definitely move. Like, I would fucking hide out east somewhere. I would never come back to the city. Never. And I mean that. Never. How come Roy, let's see what you're saying here. Let's see if we can get, how come Roy wasn't retaliated against for the Spillane hit? It seemed to blatantly done. He didn't hide that it was him. Well, that hit helped a lot of people. First of all, of course, it helped Jimmy Coonan in those that version of the Westies, Jimmy Coonan's Westies. Of course, it helped them, and of course, it helped. If you guys don't remember at the time, you know, Genovese they had Mad Dog Sullivan whacking out all of Mickey Spillane's guys, and Mickey Spillane basically left the West Side or Manhattan or wherever he was, and he went to Woodside. What his plans were, how long did he tell himself that he was going to hold on to whatever the fuck he had, where when all his guys around him were getting murdered? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. But as corruption says, Fat Tony, it was very useful for many people. So there was no retaliation for that. Not to mention, I mean, he was Irish. He wasn't like a made Italian guy. He wasn't like a made man or anything. And he was doing it at the behest of other Irish men, and by default, the Genovese was benefiting from it. Of course, Gambinos would benefit. So it all made sense. It all made sense. What about patriarcha country? Would you live up in Quag? No, I would never live up in Rhode Island or New Hampshire or anywhere up there. No. I actually went to Boston for the first time recently. I thought it was cool. I was only there for like a day and a half, but I thought it was cool. No, I would never. I love Long Island. I'm really into Long Island. If I had the means, I would probably live in a big place out in Long Island somewhere. Something, I don't know, I just like it. The problem with Franco's, Paulie Dibs, is I don't know what he's lying about. I don't know what he's telling the truth about. I mean, this is a guy that said so many things. I mean, this is a guy who was, you know, the guy who I think made up the idea that Jimmy Hoffa was buried in fucking Giant Stadium because Jimmy Coonan murdered him. I mean, this guy would make up a lot of things. I don't know what to make of Franco's. I really don't know. I don't know. And even on the book, it's like they made that book with him, like talking about it, and it's like, according to whatever, I don't fucking know. I just don't know what's true about him. Sullivan, yeah, Sullivan. So, man, a hitman if there ever was one. A hitman's hitman, I guess you could say. Fort Salonga is nice. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. That is nice. I was out there for. Why was I in Fort Salonga? There's something over there. There's like a preserve or something over there. Yeah, I like that. Northport is pretty nice. I like Northport. That's nice. Yeah, certain parts of what is that? Yeah, Northport. Yeah, Northport is nice. I like that. Roro, my dad used to say Hoffa was buried under our season tickets to the Giants. Yeah, and I think Franco's is the one that's responsible for that whole thing. The whole idea that Hoffa was buried on, and I'm pretty sure Franco said Coonan killed him. I don't fucking know. You lived in Northport? That's nice. It's a nice area. Nice area. What do they got over there? They got what's the bakery? Copenhagen? Is that over there? Is that the name of that bakery? Copenhagen? What would you consider? What would you consider to be the butthole of New York? New York City. I mean, what else would it be? New York City. I mean, any bad thing, any stat like that's bad has to be from here, right? I mean, there's parts of New York that are not good at the moment. I think like Rochester's not good. I think Troy, New York, I don't think Troy is that good. But when you take everything collectively, I mean, New York City's got to be the shithole, the butthole of the state, right? I think. Huntington is nice. Yeah, Huntington is nice, but like you say, there is some areas that are not so nice. But yeah, so certain areas of Huntington are definitely nice. Flowing into Northport, right? They kind of flow into each other. Oh, you said Troy too, Gennaro. Yeah, Troy is no bueno from what I hear. I think I drove through it or past it when I went to Saratoga a few months ago. And just from the highway, yeah, it didn't look too good. It looked a little run down. Troy's horrible. My friend got killed. Wow. Jesus Christ, bro. I'm sorry to hear that. My goodness. Oof. Uh, I don't know, Simon. I don't know the answer to that, really. If the Italians were ruling their country via Canada, then down to New York City in the 50s, and why couldn't they just bring it right into New Jersey and New York ports? It could be a connection issue, maybe. Maybe they had to. I lived in Uniondale and moved as a kid in '89. Place is pretty. Yeah, I hear Uniondale is not great as well. Yep. Yeah, not far from the Coliseum or whatever they call it now, Hofstra, Nassau Community College, where I did a little stint in some years back. Good community college, Nassau. Good community college. Nassau is a good community college. Queensborough Community College is a pretty good community college. People that live in New York City moved all over the state. They are taking their habits everywhere. Yeah, that's yeah. I was a Stern fan when I was younger. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Stern encyclopedia like some people on here, but for sure, yeah. I mean, I got off on that stuff, all that bizarre stuff going on. Any thoughts on him in recent years? I don't like the person he's become. I don't think that. Listen, you don't always have to be an edgelord. Like, you don't always have to have girls riding the Sibian and have small wiener contests and be a misogynist and have the whack pack and mentally unwell people as regular guests and Klansmen and all this stuff. You don't always have to do that for the rest of your life. But when you stop doing that, I do not think it is your job to be some kind of moral character and attempt to talk down on others who are being edgy and others who are much younger than you are and trying to make a name for themselves in this world, maybe producing transgressive content that you had once produced at a time. I don't think it is your job to be that person, and I think it's very hypocritical that, you know, somebody like Stern, who has benefited off crazy stuff. I mean, he's benefited off everything that I've just mentioned, stuff that I love, you know, like the Whack Pack, like these bizarre characters, this world that he built. And who can make the loudest queef contest? Who has the smallest wiener contest? He used to have these guys fucking butt naked rolling in on set, showing off their dicks, and they would say who has the smallest one. I mean, just crazy things. I mean, he benefited from a lot of that crazy stuff. And we all thought it was hilarious. But now it's like, it's just very hypocritical. It's very hypocritical, you know. And everything with how he acted with the pandemic. I mean, I thought that was fucking crazy too. That was nuts. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that, man. I lived on Ruxton Street by Hofstra. Oh, interesting. Is Trump really going to the Coliseum on Wednesday? Holy shit. What's that going to be like? Baba Booey's from Uniondale? That's interesting. That's interesting. I will say for the Stern fans out there that I once, let's just say my fiance knows somebody, whatever, and I had once ended up for a few minutes. I didn't stay long. I didn't want to stay. Ronnie, the limo driver, I ended up at his birthday party once. I think it was like his 70th or 69th birthday party. And yeah, so that's kind of a Stern story, I guess. I didn't really stay long, like I said. But yeah, he used to live in Queens before he moved out to like I think he's in Vegas now. Yeah. Yeah, Ronnie's funny. Yeah, he could have done. Yeah. Is that true, Gennaro? What was the extent of that? Because I saw it. I don't know. What was that? I gotta look into that one. I think if he went 30 years back and showed him who he is today, he might have whacked himself. He's just become a pure elitist. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. It's just terrible. It's terrible. And then I saw Jim Norton, who I love. I love Jim Norton. He was like back at the studios. You know, they were doing. I guess he does Jim and Sam show, whatever. If they still even do that show at the time. And like Howard finally decided to leave his fucking Hamptons mansion or whatever and come into the studio after like COVID had been going on for 3 years or whatever. And like nobody was wearing masks anymore. Nobody was doing anything anymore. And he still has a fucking mask and gloves. And Jim Norton was like, this fucking guy comes and like the whole building gets shut down for this fucking guy. None of them could go into any of the common areas. Jim Norton was saying they couldn't go into the kitchen. Like nobody could fucking do anything. He's like stuck in his studio. Nobody could fucking leave because the King Stern had arrived and he's paranoid about catching this fucking COVID that everybody has to like bow to him. So yeah, he's just become a fucking moron. I mean, I just can't stand the guy. Really. Really. Money change Stern. Are you in the hospital, Carmine? Is that right? Sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing all right, man. Cayman Carell, how are you, man? Okay, Trump's golf course. Yeah, okay, I gotta look into that. I have COVID right now. Oh, you do, huh? I feel like you have a head cold. Okay. I got it really late myself. It took me like almost 3 years to actually catch the thing. Oh, wow, man. Well, I hope you're feeling better soon, man. I know you were just there recently, right? Sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, I didn't get it till till 2023, Paulie, that I know of. I mean, did I get it before that and I didn't know? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. But when I finally got it, it definitely got me good. Didn't have a cough or anything. I wasn't like choking. Weak. I felt very weak. Just very fatigued. About a headache. Every morning I'd wake up with a headache, and then I would just be like tired. That lasted for like 4 days. Yeah, I could see that. And just the way he acted too recently when he came back, Norton, well, this is probably over a year at this point. C-19 caused all these problems. Is that right? Wow. For you? Yeah, you see how that's weird, man. It's weird how some people like, I don't know. It's just weird how some people can get things. I mean, just everybody reacts different to things. Wow. Yeah, tired with a headache. Yeah, that seems to be the type of C that goes around now. You don't really hear your neck hurts. That's funny because I was having a neck thing too. I started thinking, huh, interesting. I'm sorry, you just got me thinking, Gennaro, because I felt like kind of crappy the past 2 days and I have a neck thing going on right now. Whatever. I'm not gonna fucking worry about it. But yeah, I just felt tired and I had a neck ache and a body ache for like 4 days and everything else. So let me just say one thing, and then I'm going to get going. This week, be on the lookout. I've spoken to this individual on the phone. We had a pretty cool conversation. And we're supposed to be filming, recording an interview this week, and I will bring up for you guys a sneak peek at who this individual is. It would be funny if he was watching right now, but I don't think he is. We'll bring up exactly who this character is. My medication is going to cost. Holy shit, dude. That is crazy, man. Yeah, it's just wild. Everybody gets things like different. You hear the long C, long C. I don't like to say the word because the YouTube fucking gets crazy. Even though long C could mean something else. Some idiot at work obviously could literally came to work with it. Yeah, it's weird with the rules now. I'm in a management position where I work, so I always hear from my boss current things with rules and how things go. And, you know, I do not believe the quarantine has been cut down significantly. I mean, I don't even think you have to at this point. I think it's just gotten to a different level. It's not like how it was, where at one point, like we in my job, I mean, we had to keep guys out. I mean, fuck it. In the beginning, we had to keep guys out for 2 weeks. I mean, I had guys on my job get it like twice. I mean, they would have weeks off at a time. You know, and then it was like 5 days. All right, you have to stay out for 5 days. And now there's some other fucking thing. I don't even know what it is. The story I did on Nicholas Tartaglione recently brought me into this whole world of being interested in illicit steroid dealing and really what was going on. And somebody made a comment on that video that I should reach out to a certain individual. And when he said this guy's name, it did not ring a bell for me. And then when I looked him up, I knew who he was automatically because I had seen a documentary which was about other people, but essentially about this guy at the time. And the documentary was called The Man Whose Arms Exploded. I've since come to learn that that was kind of untrue. This individual's arms didn't really explode, but this individual was a prolific bodybuilder who, from what he told me, at the age of around 35, decided that he was going to start taking steroids, and he got to a point where he just really abused them, and you know, it did contribute to some health issues. Then he was in the documentary The Man Whose Arms Exploded. On top of that, and the early somewhere between 99 and 2001 or 2 or so, his powerhouse gym would be shut down, raided. He would be arrested for dealing steroids, and he was involved in a lot of other stuff in the New York City and I guess the what you would call like the lower Hudson Valley region of New York, not quite upstate. As Carmine S said, and as this gentleman told me on the phone, his thing had got infected and he had a hematoma. And basically, listen, if you watched the Man Whose Arms Exploded, it's pretty fucking gross. I mean, he's draining his arm with these syringes, all this blood and liquid and all this shit. It was from some sort of hematoma that he got hit in his arm, he said, by his son. Anyway, long story short, the individual that I will be supposed to be recording an interview with this week goes by the name of Greg Valentino. And here he is here. And you could see those arms. Very interesting guy, a very prolific individual in the world of bodybuilding, and also the dealing of steroids and stuff on streets in New York City and the other areas that I told you, and what goes into that. Yeah, this guy's quite a character. I mean, he has been in Vice, of course, that documentary, ESPN, the Generation Iron work for all that YouTube channel, all the work that company does. Here he is younger. This is him when he was natural. Just an incredibly interesting character, and we'll have the pleasure of speaking to him very soon, hopefully. Gennaro Boots says, whatever happened to that cop that wanted to eat his wife or something? Whatever happened to the cop that wanted to eat his wife? Well, hold on, I'll show you. Whatever happened to him? Well, I'll tell you what happened to him, Gennaro. he grew up and became a responsible adult, and he went on New York City Crime Spots channel over a year ago and did an interview. That's what happened to the cannibal Gilberto Valle. So how was your school life? Sitting with me right here.
Look, she had her suspicions.
Let's flip from this.
I think she thought I was having an affair or something. That's why she put the spyware on. Like, she never could have imagined what she was going to find. That's why I never found out what was.
From October the 25th of 2012. And this is Preet Bharara is the United States Attorney. And this is the United States of America versus Gilberto Valle. And count one from the grand jury, I'll just read this, from at least in or about January 2012 up to and including on or about October 24th, 2012, in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Gilberto Valle, the defendant, and others known and unknown, willfully and knowingly did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together and with each other to violate Title 18, United States. Yeah, we spoke about news headlines before, and, you know, I remember this case very vividly because I don't know if I've ever seen the press have more fun with a criminal case, unfortunately, than your case. I mean, some of the puns that they were using. I mean, I'll show something right. I mean, this is the New York Post. Law and Order, chef of police, to prepare and serve, finest young cannibal, stop in fricassee. I guess that's Frisk. NYPDU.
So Gennaro, that's what happened to the cannibal cop. He went on my show. That's not attractive, man. Can you say custom made shirts? Yeah. I know, but what has he been up to since the interview? Yeah, he just works. He works a regular job. He just does what he does. Yeah, he's doing good as far as I know. Maybe I should get him back on. That would be fun. I don't know. He writes like these very graphic horror books now. Yeah. He's into that stuff, which is cool. Whatever. That's what you're into. That's what you're into, right? All right, guys. I'm going to get going. Let me just give some thank yous before I go. Thank you to everybody for hanging out. I appreciate that. Everybody who joined. Thank you to Pete LaFroscia for being on the chat. Thank you to Lester Andrews for the $4.99. Much appreciated, buddy. Thank you to Dudu Baxter for the $2. Thank you for the great, the powerful, the wonderful Roro G for the 100, which I will be sending Pete half of. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ro. Thank you, Carmine S. I hope you feel better soon. I don't know. I haven't really been in much chats. If you probably noticed, some of you, I haven't really been around. So I don't really know what's going on anywhere. But I hope you feel better soon. IH Farmer. Yeah, Bo. Good show, Bo. Very good show, Bo. Good to have you here, Bo. I want you to come over to my house, Bo. And I'm going to show you how it's really done, Bo. Come over to my house, Bo. All right, I'll stop that. But Farmer, good to see you as always. Roro G. Pete D. Can't forget my man, Pete D. Ruby. I don't know if you're still here. Can't forget Ruby. Gennaro, Strong Island's finest. Who else? Cayman Corral, if you're still here. Shout out to you, my man. Corruption Connection. Shout out to you, Tony. Paulie Dibbs. Everybody else, if I missed anybody, I apologize. Keep a lookout tomorrow. I'll be dropping a video. Listen, it's going to be only about 12 minutes. Take a look. Come on. Give it a like. Give it a comment. It doesn't take time. It's only like 11, 12 minutes. Give it a watch. If you're feeling more adventurous, watch my video before that. Epstein, cellmate. There you go. Nicholas Tartaglione. I'm the only one that has ever produced a long, extensive story into who exactly was this Epstein cellmate. Nobody else has ever done it. Netflix and some streaming service or company or whatever will do one within the next 2 or 3 years. You will see that come out. People will become fascinated with that case because it's incredibly fascinating. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. All right, everyone. You guys have a beautiful weekend upcoming. Tomorrow is Monday. If you have to go to work, have a nice commute and enjoy the day. Don't get a case of the Mondays. All right. Peace, everybody. Enjoy. Thank you for hanging. See you all very soon.